I am here, I am there, and I am everywhere in the consciousness of God. I am in your midst as the flame of joy, and I stand with K-17, who releases the rod of light of white fire purity as a laser beam, so it is surrounded with the emerald ray. It is the piercing beam of the eye of God. Thus, with joy in the eye of the all-seeing one, we are come to give to you this day our intelligence report. Matters of security of the soul and the platform of the soul's evolution. In the very midst of the triumph and the rejoicing of Camelot, soldiers of light must beware that even while the songs are sung and the shouts of joy ring forth, the enemy yet in the dark places of the earth continues to prepare the snare for the mother and her children. We are the guardians of the flame, knight champions of old, of Camelot, of our king and our queen, and of all who serve the Holy Grail. We come then that you might be armed with wisdom and with information. Blessed hearts, the knowledge is also available to you that the security of the United States hangs together almost only by a prayer. And it is our prayer as we give the Our Father that his legions of light, angels of the sacred fire, legions in the cosmic secret service, will compensate for the absence of the presence of the all-seeing eye anchored in America today. The value of intelligence through the FBI and other agencies has been reduced almost to zero by a concentrated effort of agents of the KGB working in and among organizations of the United States within the federal government. The lobbying against all measures that are necessary for the surveillance in a free society of aliens who have declared their intent to destroy that society is an activity that has been carried about. Working against then those necessary techniques, the fallen ones have convinced a sleeping people that their rights are being interfered with in the normal course of events necessary to safeguard the bastions of freedom. And thus, while the fallen ones act in concert, and that not the concert of the music of the spheres, but the chaos organized well by the computers of the fallen ones, the children of the light are neither organized nor alert to the dangers in their midst. One of the greatest threats to the security of the United States, as it symbolizes the platform for the evolution of the souls of humanity, is the open borders and the failure of the government to take action on the matter of aliens coming from Central America as well as over the Canadian border. As thousands and thousands of individuals pour over these borders yearly, the population of the United States is changing rapidly, and ignorant masses are being manipulated for a dark revolution against the light. When individuals in power have not the light, and those who have the vote have not the light, then where is the possibility of replacing improper representatives with the sons and daughters of God. Avowedly Marxist, many of the Mexicans who are organized into labor unions and who live on welfare in the United States are simply the tools of the arch deceivers. In their souls, these are children of God for the most part, who have a great devotional flame, a great love ray, and yet have been held in ignorance for so long that they believe the lie of injustice and therefore become the instruments for the tearing down of this government. Add to this the fact that all representatives of K-17 in embodiment are now so hamstrung by the rules and regulations of what they may or may not do, and they are so burdened by the fear of personal exposure when they take action in defense of the security of the government, that today there are scarcely a handful of light bearers who are able to remain within these organizations to defend the light. Thus the files, the amassing of information on the enemies of the people who infiltrate America in every city, practically in every organization, are wanting. And even when the files have existed over the past 20 years, when they have been presented to members of Congress, they have been put aside, destroyed, hidden, and kept from view of the public, thus encouraging great discouragement among these public servants who see the enemy and yet are held powerless to do anything about the situation, inasmuch as it is a policy of the government itself and not of the intelligence agencies as to what occurs in the activities of spying. Beloved ones, in addition to the absence of security guarding the technology and the science of the mother flame, we have the open and wholesale selling to the enemy of all necessary technology as well as chemicals, natural resources that are necessary for the building up of a giant war machine that is intended to be used to destroy the children of light, not in America alone, but in every nation. And thus, by a very perverted psychology, a sickness that hangs over the land, the American people are feeding the enemy and giving to him the power to control their daily lives. Every embassy and center of journalism or information of the Iron Curtain countries and of China is, in fact, a center for the operation of the KGB, the international spy network of the international capitalist communist conspiracy. These individuals are exempt from many of the laws of the land as they enjoy diplomatic immunity. They have free run of the United States, and they are not being surveyed as they should be today. In addition, all types of devices are being used to monitor the children of light. Telephones monitored, conversations, until we find that it is no longer simply the angels and Almighty God keeping watch, but the fallen ones themselves are acting as the watchers for the false hierarchy. Unbeknownst then to an ignorant public, you live in an armed camp. And as the years progress, it becomes worse and worse. Files on key Americans, even those who are little known, are kept in the Soviet Union today, so that dossiers of information held in computer may be had on all individuals who have a stand for freedom and who will take that stand come what may. These then are on the lists, the first to be exterminated in any hour of takeover or an increasing control of the economy and the government of the free world. Needless to say, this organization is numbered among those that are carefully watched. It is no longer possible for us to give out information in any way through the mail, through a dictation, to contact our own members with any matters vital to our security. and therefore we speak openly and publicly, knowing well that there is always the possibility for the enemy to be within our midst. Nevertheless, we contact the souls of light. What can be done then? We must tell you this, that in the spirit plane of effort, your decrees work wonders beyond all telling, and indeed hold the line against the toppling of a system that has been bombarded from every level of being and awareness, especially from the astral plane. The decrees of the students of light, of ascended master students, as well as the fervent prayer of lovers of God, have held the bastion of light in both India and America. But, beloved ones, action in the plane of spirit must also be complemented by action in the plane of matter. And therefore we ask you to consider how you yourselves may take up one by one the issues that confront the nation, especially those issues which are so vital when it comes to the survival of a focus of light and the retreat of the great white brotherhood. America then becomes the city four square. Camelot is the jewel in the heart of that city. The attack upon America is ultimately the attack upon Camelot. The destruction of America would mean the destruction of Camelot, perhaps for thousands and thousands of years. You must realize then that all of the anti-America propaganda that has come upon the ears of our youth in this decade is nothing but antichrist consciousness that has been put out by the accuser of the brethren. This has caused the people in America to become discouraged, to cease to love their country, to cease to give gratitude to the motherland, and therefore to deprive them of the mother flame of their own motherland, and to deprive them of the Christ genius that is a part of that flame. The circle of the ring pass not of K-17 is placed upon the United States in this moment. Legions in the cosmic secret service are forming this mighty ring of light by their own bodies, by their own temples, and by their own flames. They are encircling the United States in a mighty ring of fire. Arm upon arm, they form a circle, a ring pass not, a divine chain of armor. It is the prayer of these legions that you, beloved ones, will do the same, that you will see yourselves as a human chain of protection for this force field. The establishment of Camelot represents a tremendous input of effort, energy, and abundance, dispensations from the Cosmic Council, from Saint Germain, from your own causal bodies of light, and your ultimate vote of confidence in the messenger, in the board of directors, and in the entire plan of hierarchy for this age. I commend you for your foresight, your vision, your sacrifice, and your love, blessed ones. You are to be commended, and hierarchy extends a blessing this day, for we see that mighty energy that you have put forth, preferring not yourselves, but preferring the cause in all things. In this way you have won, and you will win many victories. As Moria says, from the beginning we were winning. Now let us see, as we have prepared a platform, a nucleus of light, how the opposition to America will increase. Yes, beloved ones, this is part and parcel of the responsibility of expansion. And this is why we have not permitted a great expansion of this organization, and we have not placed behind the messenger those energies which would allow her to become before the public and to be advanced. For this we knew would only increase the opposition to the United States in an hour when the United States is already most vulnerable. The vulnerability of this nation is so great. It lies in the individual members of the armed forces themselves, so many of whom are beset by drugs and by the culture of the fallen ones through the music, alcohol, nicotine, and therefore they can scarcely carry a flame, let alone even hold themselves together in the physical octave. They are not sufficient for us to place upon their shoulders the great burden of the light of the coming of the Christ in the second coming with all the hosts and saints of heaven. Do you see then that if we attempt to set upon this mandala that is America today the full weight of cosmic consciousness, it will be crushed under that weight. Not being able to sustain the burden of light, it cannot sustain the burden of darkness pitted against that light. And thus, to increase the light in any given nation is to increase the initiation of the entire population. For even though the people of the United States are not aware of Camelot, their souls are aware of the divine plan, and they are a part of the mandala and the unit of karma, and therefore they become that collective consciousness of Camelot. They, the unconscious, you, the conscious. You in your conscious free being, then, working to draw them out of their unconsciousness into a living, breathing awareness of newness of life and the new order of the ages that is to be realized by thousands and eventually millions of souls. I must tell you then that the primary target against America is her economy. To destroy the economy of America is to destroy Camelot. Your ability to meet the costs of this new campus and this expansion program is dependent directly upon your ability to earn those funds necessary to keep your pledges. If the economy no longer provides jobs, if there is a sudden depression or a regulation put forth by the Federal Reserve Board which interferes with the natural flow of supply and demand, then suddenly you will find such a shift that will make it very difficult for the children of light to continue in this great calling. And therefore, the commitment and the responsibility that is upon you is to pray earnestly for the health and the protection of the supply in the United States, of its flow, and the entire economy. Well, beloved ones, as a point of intelligence, I might add that the economy of this nation has rested not upon the people of America, but upon those who are a part of the international conspiracy as they form the elite of the international bankers and their banking houses. And therefore, the manipulation of the supply of the mother and her children does not come through the representatives of the people in Congress, but through the private management of individuals who are not in the least concerned whether America shall rise or fall, as long as their pockets are full and they are not there in the event of economic collapse or nuclear holocaust. We must look at reality, beloved ones. There are those in power today who are callous, who have no feeling whatsoever regarding humanity, but act only in their own best interest. When it serves their interest, they preserve a healthy economy. When it serves the international interests that America should go down, a simple adjustment in the banking rates will affect enormous millions of people and the entire flow of energy as supply. The devaluation of the dollar, the putting of the dollar off the gold standard, constant inflation, all of these are manipulations of the sacred fire, of the great flow of God's consciousness which ought not to be tampered with. I tell you that gold is the only safety valve for the changing of the value of material supply, and therefore a nation that is not on the gold standard economically has built its house upon sand, and when the wind and the waves come, it will come tumbling down. This is why it is necessary for students of light to always remember to prepare for the rainy day, and to be careful with supply, and to be careful with energy. The commitment then at inner levels of the people of light is to defend the bastions of freedom by making earnest calls for the government, the economy, the education, and the religion in America. Within these there is the penetration of science, and yet science itself is the handmaid of religion. Thus, the four sides of the pyramid must be fulfilled as you look to your own inner God flame to be the pillars in the temple that is Camelot. With education is culture, and the perpetuation of that culture not as a political ideology that is foreign to the basic founding of this nation, but one that is the reflection of God government to the earth as taught by the Darjeeling Council. Beloved ones, K-17 stands to my side, handcuffed. He has asked his angel, his personal aide, to place these handcuffs upon him, that he might stand before you and impress upon your inner sight that the head of the cosmic secret service this day is handcuffed in terms of being able to defend America by the necessary intelligence. And the only individuals who can remove those handcuffs are those in embodiment. And inasmuch as those who are the liberals and of the left wing have seen to it that there is no means any longer through which K-17 can operate effectively, then it falls again to the light bearers to take up the defense of K-17. And now you will see that all who are the chelas of K-17 in his legions of light who form the mighty ring around this nation are also standing with their hands crossed, handcuffed, as a protest, as a registering upon the cosmic screen that this is the free will of America today. I ask you, beloved ones, in God's name, will you let that stand?
No!
Beloved ones, this is your calling then, as action in the matter plane. It cannot only rest with decrees, it must come into organized action. I leave to your deliberations and to your own committee meetings how you will organize yourselves into action to determine that the necessary information will go forth for the exposure of those fallen ones who have come forth, you see, to tear from the American people the blessings of the all-seeing eye of God through cosmic beings who have pledged their service to keep the watch upon the wall of the Lord. Legions of the cosmic secret service are the direct defenders of the divine woman, for it is the mother who keeps the vision of the immaculate concept of her children. It is the mother who keeps the eye upon the child to keep the child from danger. Do you see then that, as the mother must scan the universes, keeping track of her children, she has many helpers, and the first in line at the level of the third eye chakra is none other than K-17 and his legions of light. And thus, from the hour of my ascension, I have joined K-17, as we have worked together for many centuries. For there cannot be a continuation of this type of information released, as well as the great explosion of light that frees the souls of the people, without a vanguard of individuals who will also protect Camelot and this activity, and without another ring of vanguard who determine that laws shall be enacted and legislation shall be put through that will once again restore that vision, that intelligence, that necessary security. Beloved ones, I do not need to tell you, and yet I state it for the record, that without this teaching, without this manifestation of unity that has been forged and won by light bearers through this effort, America herself would have no chance for survival in this age. This is the holding of the finger in the dike. This is where the action of the word takes place. This is the release of conscious cooperation between the great white brotherhood and all of embodied light bearers. Without that conscious, willing cooperation, hand in hand, as you receive the necessary information in up-to-the-minute reports and dictations, as you apply the teachings, there cannot be the manifest energy, power, wisdom, and love to defeat the enemy. It is as simple as that. We have seen it happen again and again, and we have seen that the disbanding of light bearers by vicious gossip, by the intrusion of black magic and witchcraft in the past, through organizations that have existed for thousands and thousands of years, has cost planetary bodies not only continents, but their entire structure. The universe bears record. Geologists will one day read these records on this and other planetary homes. And thus elemental life has had to be the instrument of the canceling out of discord, because when it came down to the intensity of the test, the light bearers themselves either lacked the vision or the selflessness to forget those things which are lesser and concentrate upon the greater, and they have allowed themselves to submit to that war of attrition whereby their ranks have been decimated one by one. In this hour, there is such a great backing of your life streams by cosmic beings that you have been less susceptible to the force of the fallen ones. And the 24-hour decree sessions in our teaching centers and kept in homes of light have sustained a perpetual action by hosts of the Lord who have volunteered and come from other systems of worlds to fill in the ranks of Archangel Michael and his legions, and therefore hourly millions of angels and cosmic beings are wielding their swords of blue flame to bind the demons of division, of gossip, and the arch deceivers, whose first and foremost attack is upon the light bearers to divide and conquer. This is their tactic. It has not succeeded. But I tell you, beloved ones, where there have been those individuals who have been taken from your midst suddenly, you will always notice that it is through a change of consciousness, an altered state of mind, an altered state so great as to be scarcely comprehensible by their peers. Suddenly one who has been in the service of the light for years announces that he will leave because he cannot condone this or that activity of a staff member, of the organization, of the board, or even the messenger. Without warning, then, the black lightning of the fallen ones strike, and this energy strikes at the chakras, at the core of individuals, and begins a reversal process whereby there is a disintegration ray which works upon the entire accumulation of the detailed light, the sensitive light manifestation that comes forth through the dictations and keeps the auras of individuals filled with the fire of the Almighty One. I say to you then, it is absolutely necessary that you set aside a certain force field in your dwelling place, even if it be but a closet. If you do not have a room, let it be at least a few square feet, a place where only one activity occurs, that of the playing of the dictations. Absolutely necessary that you set aside a certain force field in your dwelling place, even if it be but a closet. If you do not have a room, let it be at least a few square feet, a place where only one activity occurs, that of the playing of the dictations, of the rosaries, the bhajans, and the decrees, and the giving of your own decrees and prayers, a holy place, the Holy of Holies, where God himself may stand, or send his seraphim to stand when you are about your Father's business. This focal point is intended to be the electrode within your home. You can line the walls of this little closet where you enter to pray with the posters of the ascended masters, with their pictures, with all of the symbols that you have been given. You may place there a statue of Mother Mary, who keeps the flame of the Cosmic Virgin, and any other focuses that are dear to your heart. And then you must have the necessary tape recorder. It is the most important investment of your life, so that you can keep these cassettes playing continuously even when you are not in your home, so that a spiral of light that emanates from your home can be used by the bands of angels that pass overhead and look for anchor points for their needle rays penetrating into the large cities and the towns of America and the world. Your focus of light will be a shaft then, as you keep it pure, from the center of the earth to the heart of the great central sun. And into this shaft of light, the hosts of the Lord will penetrate their needle-like rays for the injecting of the purity of God into the minds of millions of people. Where you do not have a place set aside, then, the energy which we can send is limited, for we cannot allow concentrated energies of light to descend into a force field where alternately there is the turning on of the television set or the playing of unwholesome music, or idle conversation, or entering into eating and other relaxations, which are a different type of energy, although not an evil energy, when compared to the action of dynamic decrees and dynamic dictations. Understand then that this is the first order of business in your own abode. You must have your Holy of Holies, for you are of the 12 tribes of Israel, and you carry the Ark of the Covenant with you. And thus the priests of the tribe of Levi must enter into that Holy of Holies. And when you enter into this chamber, where the Ark of the Covenant is sealed by the covering cherubim, you put on the garment of the member of the 13th tribe of the Levites. You officiate at the altar of God, and it is your Christ self through you who is that priest before the sacred fire. Let it be then that these anchor points of light will be a further deterrent in the staying of the hand of the wicked until that hour when more and more light bearers will join together to reverse that legislation and that trend of thinking which deprives K-17 of his necessary action. Beloved hearts, if this problem is solved, and solved it must be, it is still not enough. For when all of the intelligence activities are in full operation, if those for whom they are filed do not take advantage of them, namely the President, the Cabinet, the Congress, then again they are of no avail. And therefore the entire national policy of security must be realigned with the inner will. This is the crisis of America today, that through the media, through the television, we have seen created by the fallen ones here an unreal society, an unreal consciousness, an unreal way of life being carried about by the not-self, the unreal portion of the self, while the soul itself atrophies and the spiritual qualities and faculties atrophy until the individual has no ability to use his God-given gift to relay the light and hold the balance of power in the dark cycle. Thus, beloved ones, you must begin at a certain point, and you must work around the golden ratio spiral of the cycle that must go forth from the heart of Camelot to embrace the entire continent. While these activities are occurring here, you find that in Canada, the movement to separate out Quebec and thereby create a rebel state in the midst of the city foursquare is the counterpoint plot of the fallen ones to establish a focus that is directly in opposition to the square of Camelot. Beloved ones, this plan has been fomenting for years through those rebellious ones who will not surrender their personal pride, their national pride, and therefore blend their energies with the United States of America and the provinces of Canada in one sealing action of a mighty city foursquare. If you will draw the square around Canada and the United States, you will see that this is what forms that cosmic cube in the northern hemisphere. The separation of the people of Canada and of the United States has long been a plot of the fallen ones. You must realize then that the purpose of the establishment of a separate Quebec is not merely for the perpetuation of a separate culture. This is only the surface protest. Underneath it, it becomes a base for the international conspiracy, for free access of communist agents and those who manipulate them, who are a part of the international capitalists and their banking systems. Thus, a stronghold of darkness will be set up if it is allowed to take place by the people of Canada, whereby Camelot itself is intended to be counteracted on a daily basis by this rebellious force field, which is identical to the consciousness of Modred and the Black Knights, who ultimately did bring down the cause of Camelot in that round. Well, we are determined that it will not happen in this hour, but there is no point of talking about posies and flowers in the fields when the enemy, the serpent itself, lurks in those fields, and they are not safe for the little children to roam free. We desire to see the Elysian fields upon these lands, but not until the scorpion is bound and the biting and the stinging insects are removed will this occur. They have embodied, and they have embodied with their robot creation. You must then be informed. And when you are informed, as much as you can be informed at your level of awareness, you can give mighty fiats. But even then, beloved ones, you must realize that you do not have even 15% of the information that is available to us. And therefore, our awareness is so great. And we choose not to reveal all to you today, for we do not desire to create spirals of fear. After all, it is the great fearlessness flame which Saint Germain and K17 give to their legions as an initiation from the heart of Rheolite. Those who act in the cosmic secret service must be fearless. In order to be fearless, you must be one with God, one with the Mother in this octave, for through the fount and the heart of the Mother pours that love that is your instantaneous contact with Almighty God, no matter what the dangers to your life stream. We come then to reinforce fearlessness and the flame of God protection, the all-seeing eye of God, and the infinite resources wherewith you shall indeed conquer in this age. Sometimes, beloved ones, you wonder how God will indeed save the earth. Well, beloved ones, we do not know all things, and sometimes we ponder upon his infinite grace, and we allow the method and the means whereby he will save the earth to remain sealed in his consciousness and heart. We do not allow ourselves to wonder, and yet we must then give ourselves unreservedly to be his instrument, hour by hour and day by day, to be the instrument of the Lord, yet not knowing the fullness of his plan, is the life of the Chela. However, to be ready when he releases his plan means to study, to be diligent, to be informed, to be aware, to know what is going on, to probe, to have your aura and your mind so filled with that awareness that when God determines to act and gives the call and sends the ray, it will land upon that consciousness that is fully on the qui-vive and ready to leap into action to do battle for Saint Germain. Beloved ones, I invite you to our retreat on the Rhine to attend courses for 14 days from today under K17 in the Cosmic Secret Service. And when you come to our retreat, you will have the privilege of removing the handcuffs from K17 and from his legions, who have imposed this, a form of penance upon themselves today, as a means of transmutation of the great sin of the fallen ones and the sin that they have imposed upon the children of God in ignorance, in malice, in darkness. Come then to our retreat and learn how you can be consciously cooperating with the ascended masters in the defense of liberty, the mother flame, and Camelot. I am with you in the joy of all seeing, and I keep my joy in the face of all seeing. Do the same, and we will win, and we will not be off guard for a moment, but on guard for victory, for light, for freedom. Forward, march into the light.